can see how close the fights are today. There are split decisions happening all over the arena. And as it always goes with split decisions, you know, someone will always feel hard done by it. It's the toughest way to lose a fight is a split decision, because you're always going to think you were close, and those can haunt you, because you're always going, that extra little bit I had left, that extra, you know, takedown, that extra punch, that's the one that will end up, you know,
well, the salty
really
thing too is that, like, oftentimes you can make a strong case for having won the fight, and like you can be completely correct in your assessment, but it's just, you know, it's a game of inches, and there's so much is about angles and perspective and how you judge your fight, especially for how close these have been so far.
Emotions running high in the arena. This means a lot to these countries. It means a lot to the athletes. You know, all of these athletes are here to really represent their countries. It's a pride thing for them. So, you know, a lot of these wins and losses for some of the guys, they take it to heart, which is expected. But again, by the end of it, the sportsmanship always runs true. You know, and the IMF structure keeps building.
All right, so we've moved up to men's junior lightweight, 70.3 kilograms or 115 pounds. We will see Tajikistan's Behruz Khurshedzoda in the blue corner against Kazakhstan's Yerkin Begenov.
And we are off, and you can see both of these athletes chomping at the bit to get to the middle and start throwing leather.
Oh, nice uppercut from Begenov, but leads to a takedown there for Khurshedzoda.
Very smooth takedown there. You can see just snuck in. Pops the head out, makes sure he's not in any danger, walks his opponent over to the cage, pressing him in, which makes it a lot tougher to try and fight your way out of these positions. It's all about space.
Yeah, as we mentioned before. And Tajikistan, really perhaps a breakout nation of 2021. They did some amazing things at the World Cup in Prague. Scored several medals and really established themselves as proper contenders here in the IMAFs.
Great scrambling again. Oh, good reversal.
Nice job there from.
But you can see neither one of these athletes is taking a break when they're at the bottom. They're constantly moving, constantly looking for gaps, trying to create space and then explode.
Oh, that was a nice knee there for Begenov.
As he threw the knee, though, he got taken down.
Yeah.
Every time he falls, he does, you know, put that head in a bit of danger for the guillotine, but very calm. You can see that he's throwing strikes to try and release that the grip on the head. He's got the legs trapped, which again makes it very difficult to try and create the leverage to get up. The level of ground game throughout this tournament has been really good. You know, the guys that are coming through that are real startups, a lot of the time the striking is where they're based. A lot of it stands on the feet. But I'm really impressed with the level of ground that we're seeing. You know, the positions these guys put themselves in. You know, the way that they're able to control the hips and control the motion of their opponents.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just such high-level grappling. Fighters compete actively in different wrestling and grappling competitions as well, really just sharpening their tools on the ground.
And it becomes instinct, and instinct is when you become a good ground fighter. You know, technique is great, but once you instinctively start moving and controlling your weight and controlling your opponent.
But there's also, like, what's in the muscle memory? What do you go for when you're hurt, when you're rocked? And we have an armbar attempt here. Can't quite see from the angle.
He's got it, but it's not extended.
Yeah. Begenov clasping his hands together, preventing danger. Oh! Oh, that's close!
Oh! He just managed to twist out of it. I thought the arm popped there for a second.
Yeah, it looked like it twisted. Woo! exciting.
And again, presence of mind to be in that position. And people don't understand. What you're saying is the muscle memory. Is there's two ways to turn. The one way is going to get you out of it, and the one way is going to make it worse. And in that split second, you don't actually have time to think about which one to do. It's instinct. It's, do I turn the one way? Do I turn the other? And you react instantaneously. And that just comes from hours and hours and hours on the mat.
I mean, anybody can get to this level. The question is, are you willing to put in the time that it takes to get to this level?
And a lot of the athletes that are competing as amateurs, but by the time they're in their second or third year, they're pro athletes.
Oh yeah,
they're
definitely
competing as amateurs, but they are not amateurs.
Yeah, I mean, the skill level is definitely pro.
And I think that was seen by an athlete like Mokaev. He wasn't a junior, he was an amateur, but he was not training like an amateur. He was not putting in amateur hours. He was in pro gyms, putting in 3-4 hours a day, 6 days a week. That is not what an amateur athlete does by definition. But the level of the athletes coming through, and you can see by the results Mokaev has had as a pro and Shorty Torres has had as a pro. By the time they turn pro, they are not an 0-0 athlete. Only in record.
Nice step-in knee there for Begenov.
Threw the uppercut there, but just missed. Again, just frenetic pace on the ground. No one's giving an inch up when they hit it.
And Behruz, Khurshedzoda was the 2021 Junior European gold medalist, as well as the 2021 World Cup silver medalist. So he definitely has some nice credentials.
He's got the one leg over, you can see. Just let it go now, going back into half guard. You can see he's using those open palm strikes on the ears.
Yeah.
Which is, if anyone's ever been slapped on the ear, it's very disorienting. It can throw your equilibrium out a little bit. So it doesn't look like it's doing damage, but you take 4 or 5 of those and it can really throw everything out for you.
Yeah, I mean, they are deceptively effective, for sure.
Grabbing the cage, you can see the referees slapping the hand away. Staying active on the top in that half guard position. You can see he's trying to get the leg out so that he can twist the hip and explode to get out of the position, kicking off the hip as well. You need to be able to create space between yourself and the opponent, as you said earlier, and the way to do that is put your foot on the hip and kick off.
Yeah.
But with the cage behind you, all of these things just get tougher and tougher and tougher. And ring position is just as important as anything else.
And again, it's kind of a risk-reward thing, because the cage can be an ally or an enemy. You can use it to stand up, but it can also prevent you from being able to kick your opponent off. So there are so many small decisions that you have to make. And while you're thinking about those decisions, you're also getting punched in the face. So,
as Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yep.
And I think that's also the big difference between training just jiu-jitsu and then coming into the MMA space is you're not getting punched. You have the time to think about it. Then you come into the MMA cage, and the guy on top is not giving you time to think these things through.
Well, a friend of mine, Marcus Kowalo, also is the owner of Systems Training Center in Los Angeles, had a great quote that a lot of black belts will turn into white belts once ground and pound is introduced.
An elbow in the face will definitely drop your level a little. There you can see those little knees into the ribs. These are all little things. The slap on the ear, the little knees to the ribs. These are all things that on its own doesn't look like much. But over 9 minutes of getting these little irritating kicks in the ribs, you start feeling it. As you start getting more tired, as you start breathing heavier, you start feeling this cumulative damage on these little spots in your body.
Well, after all, it is single grains of sand that make up a beach, and those are the small little grains of sand.
You can see that the guy's working to try and get the blood back in those muscles. And a lot of the guys that come to the World Championships are not being coached by their general coaches. You know, national team coaches aren't necessarily their coaches. So it's, you know, do they know your style well enough? Do they know how you react under pressure? Do they know how to get you ready for the next round? It's the coaching that happens at these type of international tournaments is a very tough thing to handle as a coach if these are not your dedicated athletes.
Another great point there, Jason. Okay, third and final round.
Another close one.
Yeah, I feel like or pretty much all these fights have been very, very close. And in terms of credentials, I mean, you would have to say that at least on paper, Khurshedzoda should be the favorite, but I mean,
great takedown.
Yerkin Begenov definitely doing a good job as well.
Lands in a very strong position, back into the top position again. He's in guard, but also, again, very busy when he's in top guard. He's throwing punches, he's moving around. Not necessarily trying to move to half guard or mount, but he's very busy trying to cause damage and dominance.
Yeah. And that is the difference between, like, you know, holding a position and really going for it. What's really going to sway the judges, and what's also going to be able to distract your opponent.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ground game is time. The more time you give your opponent to plan and think, the better it is for them. You see, he's just trying to get that triangle, and he's putting the legs in the position for it. But insane amount of just, you know, watching what's going on around him, because he can see the legs coming and moves his position. He can see something coming and readjusts again. And that's where I'm saying about instinct.
Yeah.
He can feel the body moving, so he knows how to counteract that. Giving up his back.
Yeah, Khurshedzoda taking back here, but Begenov spins around.
Oh, he's got the arm trapped. He's in a crucifix position. He's just going to eat punches here.
Crucifix position is miserable.
I think this one could be over. Oh, great way to turn out of it. That is probably the worst position to be in.
Oh, yeah.
There is just nothing you can do. Holding onto the fence again. Yeah, I think the referee's going to take a point here.
It is a couple, yeah. It's not the first time that Begenov has been warned for that. And I mean, this could just be the final nail in the coffin in regards to his chances to get to the finals.
And there you can see experienced referees. Sometimes when these things happen, you know, they don't put them back into the position where the dominant fighter already had. And you can almost give up the position, but you know, when you do that. But great refereeing to put them back, and incredible ground and pound coming in here. He's just bombing the ribs.
Well, I mean, like we were talking about the fighters themselves and the cutmen, I mean, the level of refereeing has also gotten so much higher in the past couple of years. All these small little tidbits starting to get refined.
And same as the athletes are coming here for their country, so are the referees and judges. You know, they're traveling here. They're coming to represent their country as a referee and a judge and gaining that international experience, which again will then feed back down. Same for the coaching. You know, the coaches come here, they help their international athletes. They go back home and they can then build local MMA in the country again. Good positioning. Could see he was just keeping his weight down on his opponent, not giving him an inch to move. And with the point that was taken away, I think that pretty much seals it.
Yeah, I mean, that basically guarantees victory for Khurshedzoda.
Another very entertaining and close fight.
Definitely. All the fights have delivered here at Cage 3 so far. As mentioned, Khurshedzoda was the 2021 World Cup silver medalist. Behruz Khurshedzoda gets one step closer to realizing his dream of winning a gold. And great sportsmanship consoling his opponent here, who's obviously very disappointed.
And you can see what it means to him. You know, coming here, fighting for his country, representing his nation, and losing out this far into the tournament. You can see this means everything to them. But again, before the celebration, consoling your opponent, showing that sportsmanship, and then carrying on with the celebration. It's definitely, for me, you know, in a sport where on the pro level people are so focused on hyping fights and you know all of these things, the mark of immaf for me is that